For many years, people have been asking the question, why are some people more successful than others? Thousands of studies have been conducted, tens of thousands of hours have been spent, and millions of dollars have been invested seeking the answers. So let's start off by defining what we mean by success. There are basically 6 requirements for success. Everything you could ever want can be subsumed under these 6 categories. The first of the 6 requirements is peace of mind. By peace of mind, we mean simply freedom from fear, freedom from anger, and freedom from guilt. Perhaps the 3 major psychological problems of the 20th century. Peace of mind that passeth all understanding, the feeling that going to sleep at night completely at peace and at harmony with ourselves and waking up in the morning with the same state of mind. The second requirement for success is high levels of health and energy. We know that no matter what we have in life, if we do not have our health or if we do not have the energy to enjoy our lives, we don't get very much satisfaction out of it. And as soon as we achieve any kind of peace of mind, we immediately turn to achieving higher levels of health and physical energy. The third requirement for success is loving relationships, the ability to enter into and maintain long-term, intimate, mature relationships with other people. And we know in our studies of healthy human beings that loving relationships are really the hallmark of the self-actualizing, fully functioning personality. The fourth requirement for success is what we call financial freedom. And financial freedom means that we have enough money so that we don't worry about money. For one person, this can be $10,000 a year. For another person, $100,000 a year wouldn't be enough. But it's absolutely essential that we achieve the point of financial freedom where we are not preoccupied with where our next rent check is going to come from or where our next paycheck or where the money to pay our bills is going to come from, because we cannot enjoy life if we're preoccupied with money. The fifth ingredient for success is worthy goals and ideals. As human beings, we are not capable of functioning at our best unless we have clear goals to which we're committed and worthy ideals which we believe in. And finally, the sixth ingredient of success is a feeling of personal fulfillment, or what Abraham Maslow called self-actualization, the feeling that we are becoming everything that we are capable of becoming as human beings, that we are fulfilling our full potential as we move along. And this feeling of personal fulfillment, this sense of self-actualization, is the hallmark of the truly mature, fully functioning human being. Now, we all measure our success relative to our ability to enjoy more of these 6 ingredients of a well-rounded life. And again, we come back to our question, why is it that so few people can be described as successful? We live in the richest, most abundant society in all of human history. We have living standards and opportunities undreamed of just a few years ago. And still, the vast majority of men and women, as Thoreau said, lead lives of quiet desperation. They're unhappy with their work, they're unhappy with their families, they're unhappy with their health, they're overweight, they smoke too much or drink too much or worry about their bills all the time. Less than 5% achieve any real lasting success in life. One of the reasons for this lack of success, I think, is that we come into the world with no instruction manual. We are born as the most advanced and complex organism in our universe, but we have no directions for getting the very most out of ourselves as a human machine. Now, in operating a machine, or in operating ourselves, the very first thing that is necessary is we have to understand how to operate ourselves as a human machine. Understanding of the basic underlying principles, laws, and concepts of our being is absolutely essential. And the second part is effort. Once we understand how we work, we have to make efforts so that we can apply what we have learned to achieving far higher levels of accomplishment and attainment in our day-to-day life. Let's begin by discussing the basic rules or laws for operating the human machine, for getting the very best out of ourselves. I'd like to begin by introducing some basic principles or laws that we'll be coming back to over and over again as we go along. First of all is the law of control. The law of control is an essential law in understanding how we function, and the law of control simply says that we feel good about ourselves to the exact degree to which we feel we are in control of our own lives, and that we feel bad about ourselves or we feel out of harmony with ourselves to the exact degree to which we feel we are controlled by outer circumstances, by other people, by things beyond our control. Control begins, first of all, with our thoughts, what we think, and that controls our feelings, what we feel, and leads to how we perform or our actions. But all control begins with taking control of the thoughts we hold in our conscious mind. The second principle or law is a metaphysical concept called the law of accident. The law of accident says in effect, that there is no way that we can control what happens to us, that everything just happens by accident. Unfortunately, whether they realize it or not, the vast majority of men and women live their lives by the law of accident. By failing to plan, they're planning to fail. They have no goals beyond the short term. They make no plans. They don't really feel that they're in control of their own destiny, and they just hope that somehow things will work out all right for them. Opposed to the law of accident is what we call the law of cause and effect. Now, the law of cause and effect is really the basic law of the universe. It's the law of the cosmos. It is the reason that everything happens. And the law of cause and effect simply says this, that for every effect in our lives, there is a specific cause. That if we do not like the effects that we are enjoying in our life, it is up to us to identify the causes and change the causes. There is, in fact, no such thing as an accident. Everything that happens in our life happens by law and not by chance, and that it is our primary duty to understand the laws that control our destinies, and by understanding the laws we can control the causes and change anything that we want. You will recognize immediately that the law of cause and effect is completely consistent with the law of control, because if we can identify the causes, we can control the effects and therefore control what happens to us in our lives. And people who live happy, fully functioning, harmonious lives are people who live by the law of control and understand the law of cause and effect in their lives. Under the law of cause and effect, it is that thoughts are causes and conditions are effects. That our thoughts are always the primary causes of the conditions or effects in our lives. That we control our lives by our thoughts, that everything that we are today is the sum total result of all the thinking that we have done to this moment. That if we wish our lives to be different in the future, we have to change our thinking in the present, and by so doing, we change the direction of our lives. Going on, there are 3 mental laws which I'd like to introduce now, in addition to the law of control and the law of cause and effect. And the first of these 3 mental laws is what we call the law of belief. The law of belief simply says that whatever you believe with feeling becomes your reality. That you are the sum total result of all of your belief systems to this moment. And that your beliefs form a screen of logic or a screen of prejudices through which you see the entire world. That you never allow in any information that is inconsistent with your beliefs. And that even if you have beliefs that are totally inconsistent with reality, to the degree to which you believe these things to be true, they become true for you. The law of belief is referred to in every book of religion, in the Talmud, in the Torah, in the Quran, in the Bible. In the Bible it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, or as a man believeth in his heart, so is he. Or, according to your faith, it is done unto you. In other words, according to how deeply you believe it, it is done unto you. The law of belief is so powerful in our lives that even if we hold beliefs that are based on totally false information, they have an impact on what happens to us and an impact on our effects. The most important single application of the law of belief is this, is that if we have self-limiting beliefs, irrespective of whether or not they are based on reality, to the degree to which we believe them, they become true for us. And most of the beliefs that we have that limit or impair our effectiveness, the self-limiting beliefs are not based on reality at all. They are based on information that we have taken in from a variety of sources, often starting in early childhood, but to the degree to which we accept those ideas as true, they become true for us, and we live in a manner consistent with them. As a matter of fact, our mind works in such a way that it edits out or refuses to allow in any evidence that is contrary to what we have decided to believe. The next law is what we call the law of expectations. The law of expectations is a very powerful concept that simply says that whatever we expect with confidence becomes our own self-fulfilling prophecy. That we are continually acting as our own fortune tellers by the way we talk to ourselves about how we think things are going to turn out in our lives. That people who enjoy high levels of accomplishment are continually talking to themselves and about themselves as though they expected things to work out well. They are manufacturing their own self-fulfilling prophecies and continually looking forward to things happening in a good way for them. People who have unfortunate or unhappy lives are continually talking about the future turning out poorly. Expectations have a powerful impact on our relationships with others, and they have a powerful impact on what we become in our lives. Dr. Robert Rosenthal of Harvard University has conducted over 300 experiments in what he calls expectations theory to test the impact of expectations based on totally false information. At the beginning of the school year, the school principal called 3 teachers into his office. And to these teachers, he said, as a result of your teaching excellence over the last 3 or 4 years, we have come to the conclusion that you are the best teachers in this school. And as a special reward to you, we have identified 3 classes each of 30 students of the brightest children in this school, the highest IQ students in this school, and we are going to assign them to you. You're going to have 1 class of 30 students each to teach for the entire year. Now, we don't want to be accused of discrimination, so it's very important that you do not tell these children in any way that you know that they have been selected for a streamed class. And second of all, we're not going to tell their parents because we don't want to cause any difficulties there. We expect you to teach exactly the same way you normally do and use exactly the same curriculum, and we expect you to get very good results with these students. At the end of the school year, these students led not only the school but the entire school district in academic accomplishment. Their grade levels were 20 to 30% above the grade levels of the entire school. They called the 3 teachers in at the end of the year and they said, well, you've had a very good year. And they said, yes, we have. They said it was so easy. These children were so easy to teach. They were so eager to learn. It was such a pleasure to teach them. They said, well, maybe we better tell you the truth, that this has been an experiment and that those 90 children were chosen out of the school population at large. And when we assigned them to your class at the beginning of the year, we had no idea what their IQs were at all. And the teacher said, well, that's incredible, but how could it be that they scored so highly? They did so well. They got such good grades. Yes, it must be because we are such excellent teachers. At which the principal said, and I think we should also tell you the other side of the experiment, was that at the beginning of the school year, we put all the teachers' names in a hat, and yours were the first 3 names that were drawn. This is what is known as a double-blind experiment. They held constant for everything except expectations. And in both cases, the expectations were based on totally false information. The expectations of the school administration on the teachers, we expect you to do an excellent job, were based on totally false information about their competence or ability. The expectations of the teachers on the students were never spoken, but also based on totally false information, and in both cases, they had dramatic results and achieved dramatic effects as a result. With regard to expectations, there are 3 key areas where expectations affect our results. The first area is the expectations that our parents had of us, and in many cases still have of us, have a dramatic impact on how we perform today. As adults, of course, the expectations that our bosses have of us have a dramatic impact on how we think about ourselves and how we perform in the workplace. The second area of expectations is the expectations we have of our children, our spouses, our subordinates, and the people who look up to us. We find that people who look up to us always try to fulfill our expectations of them, whether they are positive or negative. Many parents and many employers have revolutionized their family or their corporate environments by changing the climate of expectations and making it perfectly, sincerely clear that they expect the very, very best from the people who look up to them. And the people who look up to them invariably do everything they possibly can not to disappoint those expectations. The third area of expectations that is important to us, and perhaps the most important of all, is the expectations that we have of ourselves. We will always tend to fulfill our own expectations of ourselves, whether they be high or low, whether they be positive or negative. And that's why it is so important in everything that we do to always expect the best from ourselves. Always expect ourselves to continue to grow, to get better, to improve, to throw off past mistakes and failures, because we will always fulfill our own mistakes. We are always the fortune tellers in our own lives. We are always creating our own self-fulfilling prophecies. The third mental law that we'll talk about at this time is called the law of attraction. Now, there are hundreds of books that have been written on this subject of the law of attraction. And basically what the law of attraction says is that each human being is a living magnet, that we radiate thought energy, and that we invariably attract into our lives the people and circumstances that harmonize with our dominant thoughts. That our lives are right now today surrounded by and representations of our dominant thought patterns. That if we wish to attract different people, different circumstances, different events, we have to change the content of our conscious minds, because we go through life like a magnet, always attracting to ourselves the people, the events, the circumstances, the good or bad fortune that harmonizes with our dominant thoughts. When a person is feeling very positive, feeling very good about themselves, feeling very up on life, it's remarkable how many good things, good situations, good circumstances they attract to themselves. And when a person is feeling negative and pessimistic and cynical and down on themselves, it's amazing how many negative situations they experience and how many negative people they meet. And these happen by law, not by chance. That we can dramatically improve the quality of our lives by understanding these essential mental laws, by taking control of our minds, by manufacturing our beliefs so they are consistent with what we want to happen to us, by manufacturing expectations consistent with what we want to happen in our future, and by thinking continually of the people and circumstances we want to draw into our lives.